How is the overall environment for investing in music? Is it something which you're still excited about? Actually, is this a fantastic time, or is this, in all honesty, a difficult time?
Yeah, I don't think the economy is really the issue. First of all, when you're talking about early stage companies, there's a lot more factors affecting them than the economy. And in fact, you know, some of the stuff that's affecting the larger companies in the technology space is actually quite helpful to startups. Probably a little bit more pessimistic about the part of the music space that I have the most background in. I started a company called Launch, which I sold to Yahoo and ran Yahoo's music business, and I did that for almost 14 years. And that kind of consumer-facing digital music space, I think, has probably received too much venture investment over the last 4 or 5 years. And I think there's too many companies trying to sort of solve what is still a very large problem, is how do consumers get access to music. I think the mobile space, there's still quite a bit of opportunity, and companies that don't require licenses from labels to stream or download music online, I think there's a lot of opportunity. But I think going straight at that larger problem, I think that's been overfunded, and I think it's going to be very tough for most of those companies to make it, and I think it'd be very tough to get funding for a company trying to do that.
In terms of the sort of order of priority, what are the things that the boxes that you have to tick in when you're actually evaluating whether you're going to go in or not?
Well, it's a tough question. I guess the first thing is just when you partner with someone in creating a company, right? You want to feel a lot of things with the entrepreneurs thing. I'm fine to go with you for the best and the worst in the 5 or 7 years to come, right? And from then you try to imagine again, what's the vision? What the question you try to ask yourself every time is, what makes that company unique? You want to have a clear value proposition and something that is going to be compelling for the end user at some point of time. So the latest one that we did, Bit of Digital, that this is a digital label, they just came to us and say, hey, we want to be a label, but everything's changed in the food chain. The production cost has changed. Distribution cost, they're not doing CDs, right? So distribution cost has changed totally, and marketing, the way of doing marketing has changed totally. Now you can monitor everything with the digital stuff. You can see whether a Spanish artist is selling a couple of stuff on iTunes in Denmark. You have all kinds of reporting, and then you invest your marketing dollars. So they said, we just want to be there because we're going to be able to give more money to the artists. Right. And so you will end up with artists getting 3 or 4 times more of the revenue share that they had in the regular industry. And so we thought that is giving back some value, and that is cutting the fat. I'm not talking about companies, but I'm talking about the way of doing it. It is cutting the fat of useless marketing. It is cutting the fat of useless logistics or whatever, because that's not what the people want.
Well, I think Jean's right. I mean, I think you got to have a compelling product and a value proposition. You've got to actually have a market opportunity that is large enough, and then the third part is the team. And I think that's probably for everybody very critical. Is this a team that seems like they can execute? Sometimes you want a really experienced team if that's the kind of business you're going into. Somebody like Gilles walks in, people are going to say, wow, he's been very successful, I'd like to work with him. But it can be, a 23-year-old kid who's literally never done anything except go to school before, but, you can tell if somebody like that's very impressive. And, I think, not a benchmark investment, but, the guys from Google, they were pretty smart guys. I mean, it looked like a kind of an odd bet. Search seemed to be over, but they were pretty smart, pretty impressive guys. So I think the team is also the really critical part, it's I think in that first meeting, it's as much sizing up the team and kind of an interview than as well as figuring out what the product and the market opportunity is.
The one that hasn't been mentioned is price, and so it's really market, product, people, and price. And also a discipline, a mentality of how they use cash. So we're a smaller fund, so we look for companies that are very cash flow efficient. Also, where the entrepreneur is sharing the risk with us. If the entrepreneur just basically raised the money and hasn't put any equity in himself, we're not that interested. We want to see equal sort of sharing of risk and partnership working together, so we're perfectly aligned in the company's success or failure. We definitely don't like to see teams where the management has a free option. They haven't put any money in, so we wouldn't touch a deal like that.
How about you, Tom? You're coming from, again, slightly different perspective. I guess you got the quality of the management team. Is it as simple as looking at the quality of the management team and then running through the numbers? Because with an established artist, you can have effectively historic earning, whether it's for recorded music sales, whether it's for publishing.
Well, to be honest, investments are investments. It doesn't change whether you're investing in a tech company or an artist. You know, it's for us, we start off with a qualitative judgment on the artist and their material, then a quantitative analysis on their track record, and then the third bit, which it is more tricky in the music industry, is the team. The challenge that we have is that, you know, all of the managers that we speak to have a track record of success. However, the music industry has been somewhat the wild, wild west for a long time, and what we're having to develop is relationships of trust and transparency in order to make these businesses successful, and that traditionally hasn't been the case between management companies and the record labels. So there's a lot of re-educating there to do, and we're having to develop a very keen sense of smell as to, you know, who wants to play ball and who's just talking the talk rather than willing to walk the walk.
What type of field would you recommend the audience to focus on, Nenad?
So this weekend I had the pleasure of joining Jill and going to the NRG concert. And just seeing the fans. So we're all talking about music and everyone's doldrum, but the fans here, I mean, they're waiting outside the hotels, they're everywhere. I mean, it was just unbelievable. Anyone who sat in that audience and saw that crowd. So I think that's where it's at. And that's where I'm looking. And I saw something really interesting this weekend. So I think it's all about the people. I mean, that's why we're here, right? We're all here because of those fans. So giving them what they want. And I think that's really cool.